Hey, I'm going to show you a little bit about the Bayliner 3.0 Alpha, changing the starter and the starter um, switch or activator, and then a fan belt. And you know how to do this. I'm going to point to what you need to do. I looked at this myself on the internet on various videos, and they're pretty horrible. And you know what to do. I'm just going to show you what I had to do on this stuff, and it really works well. I got a new starter. You can get them all over the other place, but I got them at a starter place here in town. I'm in Fort Worth, and it works great. And I'll show you how to do this. Then I'm going to show you the empty one. So here we go. This might look familiar to you. It's the engine. That's obviously the fan belt and mechanism, and then we're going to come around here, and that's the starter down there. Now you can get this 90 amp fuse on the internet, and they go anywhere, honestly, from $20 to $229, the exact same thing. So be careful when you order this. It works great, and you just undo it. So here's your starter mechanism. Underneath it, I'm going to show you one that I've removed. There's a bolt here. There's a bolt right there that goes up, and there's a bolt that's the top of the bolt right there, and it goes up also. So you just use a little extender on your socket and a socket, and just take it down. That nut there, don't touch that one. That belongs to the starter. You don't mess with that. Take that off. It takes this off. This unit remains unless you have to replace that. And so you take that off, and then that one little screw right there, take it off, and that's it. So when you put it back on, obviously put it back on in that order. If you need to do this, and you can look on the internet how to test it. You can do an ohm meter on this. Put it on one side and on the other side. And if it's over 0, then there's a resistance through that, and that thing's blown. But if you can get circuit through the thing, then it's good. All right? So that's it. Also, that's it for here. So let's come up here to the starter relay. That's it right here. This thing right here, starter relay. That comes off, and there's 4, you can see there's 4 connectors, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you can see back in there. Let me see if I can show them to you. Anyway, it's a little bit hard to see. But you take those 2 nuts off. See if I can get them. Sorry about this. Those 2 nuts off. But in the great intelligence of our engineers, that many of you have discovered, they build these things to build them and not to repair them. So what you got to do is get a 6-point socket. And you come over here, and you take that one off. And you take that one off, and then you come over here to the front right behind the hose, and you take that one off, and then behind here is a bolt. Take that off, and then this whole flashing thing you can pull towards you. Sorry, I'm doing this myself. You can pull that whole thing towards you, and that gives you ability to get back in here with a wrench and take this thing off. So just buy a new one. They're like $30, or depends where you buy them. They're not very expensive. And take it off. And then when you have the new one in your hand and the old one, and just replace 1 for 1. 1 for 1. These are plugs. I don't know if you can see them back in there, but they're little plugs. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get that. Anyway, but hook them up one time, one from the old to the new, old to the new, old to the new, old to the new. You got them, tighten them up, and then you put these back in. What I did, they had the nut here, the bolt here, and the nut behind, so which is impossible to try to blindly hook that nut up. It's a self-locking washer or nut. So what I did is just reversed it. So I put the bolt behind and I put the nut in front. Little trick. You can see the nut's up in front. And then bolt that back on. And then you could push this whole mechanism back. And then you, behind here, you can kind of see that. Let's see if I can see that. I don't know if you can see it, but there it is right here. There's that nut. Put that back on. I think it's a 3/8, 12 point bolt. Put that 12 bolt on. Put the one above it, that 12 bolt on above it. And that's it. So you're good to go. Okay? And it should fire up. Now I'm going to move around to the replacing the what I call the fan belt or the drive belt. And I got it backward, but you can see the number that I have, and it's a 15 by 400. I don't know if you can see that right there. 15 by 400 is my size, and it works out. And of course, you can adjust it. But on this particular boat, some of them said that you could squeeze it in here, but you can't. So you take these 4 bolts off. 1, 2, 3, 4. This unit loosens up, tilt it out, feed the belt over here, and of course over your drive. Loosen this up, by the way, and you may have to loosen up the bolt below to get it to keep it. Loosen this, put the belt back on. Get some sort of leverage, either to leverage this to pull that tight. This is a little bit loose, it's just a new one, so I need to tighten it up a little bit. Tighten that up. Sorry, I missed a step. Put this back on. So you have the belt on here. Get some leverage and tighten that thing up. And then you got it. This is a little bit loose. And it's really a simple job. And if you're down here messing around with this, and take a look at your belt, it's a simple thing to do. By the way, yesterday I was out at the lake and I flooded out. I thought my boat was sinking. And this deal on the other side, these came off. And I have a 135 horse water pump pumping this boat full of water yesterday. And it didn't take long. My engine was running bad, like it was bad gas. I turned around and I was about up to the top of my toes in water. This whole bottom of the boat was full. So I quickly turned on the bilge. I didn't know what to do. So one guy came over, he said a hose came loose. And sure enough, one of these hoses came up and water was just pouring out and flooding my boat. It was all the way flooded, all the way under the seats. So you got to remember that. Keep your eye on that thing. It's a wonderful mechanism for draining in the wintertime, but keep your eye on that. And that's just my little pointer. So good luck on your maintenance. You can do all this stuff. It's pretty easy, and particularly on this boat. Bye. Okay, here's the starter that I showed you. It's upside down and everything, but this is the way it goes into the boat, right? Okay. Remember I said don't touch that screw because that belongs to the starter. This is where that 90 amp white fuse goes. That one wire goes here, and it's offset. So if I was looking at the side of the boat, remember there's that bolt that goes from underneath, goes up this way, and then it's offset. And you can see the top of the one in the engine here, but this one comes underneath. So you just you feed it up here, just get a socket from underneath. It's kind of hard to get your hand underneath the engine, but you can do it. And just lock that back, that's into place. All right, so that's the starter. And above that was this starter relay. Okay, remember we showed you that? And it has two, I'm going to lay this down. So it has two bolts, 1, 2, and it had that flashing that I told you how to take that flashing off. It's got that 50 amp fuse or breaker up here. So remember, this is the new one. So when you replace it, take it from the old one and put it up to the new one. Take it from the old one, put on the new one. Same with these two guys, old to new, old to new. And then you got this new one, and then you're going to put it, that flashing is loose now. That flashing is kind of loose. Sorry, this is a funny, anyway, I definitely am not going for Hollywood material, but that flashing is loose. So you tip it out towards you, and you can get this guy in there. Let me see if I'm doing this, and get the bolt side back here, and put the nut on the front. Tighten it up, and then you're going to have this thing and that flashing, and then you can get that flashing put back on like I showed you previously. All right, good luck. You can do that.